Hello, annyeonghaseyo. Welcome to the K-League United podcast. I'm Matthew Binns, and joining me this week we have Paul Neat. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
And we have Andrew Farrell. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, boys. How are you getting on?
I'm very good, thanks. I can see the celebrations have already started in Anyang, for good reason, because it's the 10th anniversary, lads. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Indeed.
10 years already.
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years of K-League United. The website, for those who are being pedantic, the podcast's only been going for 8 seasons. Yes, but we were a website first and foremost. And this month is kind of a 10 years of KLU celebration. And we thought, where better to start this conversation than looking back over the last 10 years. We've taken a lot of football over the last 10 years, been to a lot of stadiums, seen a lot of storylines, seen John Bucklet win a lot of trophies, and a couple of other teams as well at some point. But we thought today we're going to go back and we're going to look at the players that have made the last 10 years. And it's something we've done before. For those long-time listeners, well, first of all, thank you for still being with us. But we went through our best 11 back in 2020 when we were celebrating the 5 years, mainly because we were behind closed doors as well. That's how this started. But we thought, why not go back, revisit it? There's been a lot of things happen in the last 5 years. John Book became a relegation team. The other stuff's happened. Daejeon got promoted. Anyang even got promoted. And Suwon got relegated. So lots and lots to discuss. Even Jesse Lingard joined the league. Why not go back and revise our choices? So, lads, first of all, I want to give us a bit of a flashback to 5 years. We're going to rewind a little bit. And, well, this is what it looked like 5 years ago, back in COVID times. There was a lot going on there. Andrew was clearly American at this point. But Paul and I are very much represented.
Look how young I look.
Yeah, a lot has changed. Look how well, I was taking it very, very seriously, the whole social distancing thing, and I still do today, but not of my own free will. It's just nobody wants to talk to me. But to more of a look at the last 10 years, last 5 years. This is the lineup that we came up with 5 years ago, the 2020 K-League United 5th anniversary best 11. Back then. For those listening on the podcast, we had Cho Yeon-woo in goal, Kim Jin-soo on the left, Kim Min-jae in the centre, Osmar in the centre, Go Yo-han on the right, Yong Ki-hun on the left, EJ Sung in the centre, Cecilia in the centre, Ricardo Lopez on the right, and then it was a junior in Dayan up top, all managed by Tae Kang-hee. A very strong 11 that we chose 5 years ago, and I'm sure we might be revisiting some of those names again. I hope not too many of them as we go through, but there might be one familiar face in goal. Let's go to the goalkeeper position. Now, before we do, I think we should kind of go through the rules a little bit for those who are not acquainted with the format. So it's a 4-4-2 again, keeping it very, very sensible, and each player must have played in the league for a whole season. So none of these 6 months, come in, score a load of goals, go to unnamed Chinese club, heartbreakers. No. You have to have played at least a full season and captured our imaginations. It could be the best players we've seen here, ideally, but it could also be a player that we feel best represents the league as well from the last 10 years. It's a bit vague on the criteria, but that's why the three of us are here to argue about it. And you can also argue too. You can do so in the comments if you're watching live, and if you're listening to this back later, then please just tell us we're wrong on Twitter. They do all the time anyway. So let's get started, gentlemen. We're going to start at the back in net. And, to go first with their pick for the best goalkeeper of the last 10 years, I believe I said it was going to be you, Paul.
You did. And, I mean, there's nobody else, is there? It's the man with a million haircuts. Choi Yeon-woo. I mean, he's been in the best 11 for the last 30 years. It seems like he is. They don't have to bother reprinting that piece of paper that they put in the awards evening booklet and stuff. They just put his name in there. Maybe update the haircut because it's always changing. But I mean, it has to be, doesn't it? I mean, he's been in the best 11 probably almost every year that he's been a professional football player.
Yeah,
since 2017. Yeah.
But even before that, he was in the K-League 2 one as well, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe.
he was in the K-League 2 Best 11 in 2015, K-League 2 Best 11 2016, and then got promoted with Daegu in 2016, and then he's been in the Best 11 ever since. He has been the Best 11 goalkeeper for all 10 years of K-League United. And then to cap it all off, he won the MVP. And I mean, on top of that, he finally got his K-League titles, 3 of them with Ulsan, but he more memorably perhaps got that 2018 FA Cup title with Daegu. The AFC Champions League, well, he didn't quite get it. It was a bit difficult. So on some websites, you'll see that he did win it in 2020. He didn't play in 2020. He actually caught COVID and couldn't join the bubble. So he wasn't in that squad that went. So he technically, that's perhaps eluded him slightly. But more so than that, we've got to watch him at K-League United from the beginning of his career. And we've watched him have those heroics in Russia, watch him become a national team staple. And I dare even say that we've actually watched like the tide turn against him as well. I think in recent years, perhaps people have got a bit too sick of him winning everything and people begin to point out his criticisms. But to me, absolutely fantastic goalkeeper. I'm assuming you were the same on this one, Andrew.
Oh yeah. I had one look at it. Yeah, that's going to be Joyanu, and move on.
Yeah. No point wasting.
Fully deserved. Obviously, he said like he's always the best goalkeeper in Korea. First or second division, primarily the first division. It's a non-talking point.
All right. Well, then maybe we can have a bit more of a talking point by moving slightly further up in the pitch. So we're going to go to left back first. Now, I'm going to choose this one, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise who I choose, because for me, there is only one left back people come to when they think about players in the defensive position in the last 10 years. Kim Jin-soo, the master of the dark arts, a player who can fall to ground so easily, but just as well late tackle, yellow card, red card. He can hit the ball fantastically from a free kick. He's great at set pieces, but he's also just a liability as well. He came to Korea in 2017 for Jeonbuk. He signed at the age of 23 years old, having spent some time at Hoffenheim, and regrew his reputation at Jeonbuk, got himself back into the national team setup, spent a little bit of time in the Middle East, but quickly returned to Jeonju, his hometown. And this season, in what is the ultimate, perhaps Kim Jin-soo-esque move, he decided to leave Jeonbuk and switch to rivals FC Seoul, just to further build that reputation that he has. But I feel like in terms of left backs in this league, he has been one of the best of the 10 years and one of the most memorable as well. But feel free to disagree. I want to know who you picked, Andrew.
I went for Kim Jin-soo as well. There was a couple of choices really for this. I was looking around at a couple of different options, but the fact that it's not just a K-League thing, but just the fact that he for a long time he nailed down that position with the Korean national team. It just solidifies his place in the team. So yeah, like Kim Jin-soo and Joyanu, for me anyway, return from your 5-year team to return for 2025. Yeah.
Paul, is it unanimous?
It isn't. I actually forgot about Kim Jin-soo, to be honest. I don't know
How
why.
dare you? How dare you?
I think because I started the team with Wanderson and then built it around that. Because I had to have Wanderson in there, and to me he's more of a left wing back than he is a left winger. But I can't argue with Kim Jin-soo, Mr. Housery. You can't argue with Mr. Housery. So he's a great player, isn't he? I mean, even now you see, even at the age of 32 now, I think he is, something like that. You're seeing, that old adage that form is temporary and class is permanent. He didn't have a great season last year, but I think a move and a change of scenery is probably what he needed. Obviously, with all the upheaval and the chaos at Jeonbuk last couple of seasons, I think he probably just needed to play somewhere else. But yeah, he's a great player.
All right then, Kim Jin-soo, still at left back. Please bear with us; it might change. It's not going to be the same from the last 5 years. Andrew, let's have a look at right back, because obviously central defence, we've got 2 positions. We'll leave that till last. But right back, who have you got in that position?
I think this is a BS call, and I was thinking about this for a while yesterday, and I think you guys are going to look at this call and think he's being purposely contrarian with this particular choice, but I'm not. I'm not. So I hope you hear me out before you throw me out of this conversation. I want to get my pick in there. I didn't go obviously for Go Johan. I know he shifted position. Obviously, this is one position I was definitely going to change from your 2020 team. And it's very. I'm almost embarrassed to name this choice, but I need to get these qualifiers in there first. This is solely done on it's recency bias, because I don't think, or in my time of watching K-League, I don't think we saw a right back as dominant, scoring a few goals but assisting a lot, but part of the most exciting team that was in K-League football last season. So, and I think he was justified with his Korean caps too. I know it's crazy, but I am going with Hwang Min-gi from Gangwon FC, just because I think that his performance last season was better than any other right back I've seen in all the years I've been watching K-League 1. So I think he had the best season. Are there more players who are more consistent than him? Absolutely. Sure there are. Are there players who are more deserving than this? Probably. But I still think that his performance last season was better than any other right back I've seen in the time that I've been watching this league. So that's why I went with him.
Hwang Min-gi, right? I mean, I don't deny that he had an incredible season last year, and I think all the players we're going to be naming today are all incredible talents. Hwang Min-gi, well, Paul, have you also got the game one right back?
No, because he unfollowed me on Instagram recently, so he doesn't exist anymore. No, I have Lee Young, because I mean, there's just he's still doing it.
He is.
There aren't many players left. In fact, there's only one outfield player I think still left in K-League 1 at least that's born in the same year as me, 86, and that's Lee Young. But he's still doing it. He's still doing it. Like when he moved to Suwon FC, I thought, has he got the legs to play right back in a 4? But he does. He's still mobile, and he's still got that wand of a right foot. So I just think if you look at probably most of the last 10 years, it's been John Book's decade, and one of the probably their key players, but one of their perhaps slightly underrated players was Lee Young. How many key passes did he get in that sort of spell 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, that kind of time? He was just so good. He was just so good. So to me, Lee Young, and he has probably the best hair.
Yeah.
That Superman haircut. He's just, he's always immaculate, isn't he? This is the way that he presents himself. So yeah, Lee Young for me. 100%.
So I may be a sucker for punishment, but I actually listened to the podcast from 5 years ago before starting tonight, just to see how we thought. And I put Lee Young forward 5 years ago, and you voted me down for Go Johan. So it's how the times have changed. So I have the opportunity now to get Lee Young into the team after being rejected 5 years ago, and I am not going to, because one player who could actually play anywhere, but not Wanderson and not Kim Shin-wook, Chae Chul-sun. Chae Chul-sun started life at Jeonbuk in 2006, winning the Champions League in his first season. He has won every trophy with Jeonbuk since. That's 9 titles, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 FA Cups. He's also won the K-League 2 with Sangju Sangmu as well in 2013. And I feel like he is... There was that thing going on social media, Barclays men and whatever. If you're talking about K-League men, like the stereotypical K-League player, a player that only does it in K-League but cannot get into the national team because he has only a very few amount of caps for Korea. Only got 11 caps. So I think Chae Chul-sun, I guess he's not doing it as much now, but he's still doing it for the B team. He still gets picked in whatever the continental competition Jeonbuk are in at this point. None. But yeah, Chae Chul-sun, I would put him as my right back for the last 10 years. But by saying that, I have forced a tie, gentlemen, and that brings us, well, to our flawed method choosing a player. Now, I was going to say, if they had been picked in 2020, we could also factor that into proceedings, but none of us have chosen Go Johan. We've all decided that we had to make one change and it's all going to be at right back. So we're going to vote for each other. You cannot vote for your player. You can only vote for what the other two have said. We're going to either write it down or we're going to say it because people are listening to this, I hope, still. But if you are watching it, we're going to show it as well, just to make sure there's no cheating. So if you've got a pen and paper handy, write it down, and we are going to unveil it. If you've not got one to hand right now, Andrew, I'll let you say this first one, and then you can scramble for one in a minute. So we're going to unveil our choices. We're just going to all say them on 3, and hold them to the camera if you've got them. 3. Wait a minute, I've just wrote my own player down. Sorry. Just wrote Chachel's son again. Sorry. Try it again. 3, 2, 1. Eong.
Chachel soon. You can't see it because of the bloody thing.
Oh, the background. Well, Andrew, you've got this Chachel soon.
I said Eong. Yeah. Eong will do. Yeah.
So
Eong.
wait a minute. Eong.
I said
okay.
Chachel soon.
I said Eong.
Right, Eong then. So I win basically.
And he was a nominee in 2025.
Can I just say the thing you said there about Barclays men?
Yeah.
I wanted to do this for us and call it the Hyundai Oil Bank men. Because that was that period, wasn't it? Before the wonderful Hannah Bank took over.
Yeah.
The magnificent Hannah Bank. Thank you, Hannah Bank. Thank you, Hannah Nim.
If you have a K-League Hyundai Oil Bank men, please do get them in the comments.
Send them in.
I could already. Kim Jong-ji would be there in a heartbeat.
Cool.
But okay, we're going to move into the centre of defence now. So, because there's 2 choices here, what we're going to do is we're going to give one choice each and go again. Obviously, if one of us says it and you've already got it on the name, let's try not to prolong it. We can say, so if I said Kim Shin-uk, and Paul had Kim Shin-uk as his second choice, Paul just say Kim Shin-uk quickly just to confirm it, so we're not waiting. But we're going to go through. So Paul, I want you now to go give us your first choice, your first nominee for centre back.
Osmar.
All right, Andrew, is it Osmar for you?
It's Osmar.
I've got Osmar for 3. I don't think there's anybody else we could really we couldn't overlook him, I don't think. Paul, I mean, for those who are unaware, why Osmar?
I mean, the guy's made hundreds of appearances. He captained FC Seoul to the league title in 2016. I think he was the only foreign captain to do that, to sort of do that at the time. I mean, he's won the FA Cup with them as well in 2015, and then he's just basically been that one constant. Seoul have had their ups and downs over the years. He was there. He was always that one sort of anchor to keep things sort of from getting too rocky, and they shouldn't really have let him go. I thought he had another season left in him, and obviously Seoul didn't do too badly last year, and this year so far not too bad either. But I still think he had a role to play, and just a classy player. You can play at centre back or as a midfielder. Great left foot, reads the game incredibly well. Definitely a future manager.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I think even hopefully in K League one day, maybe even FC Seoul 10 years from now, maybe in the 2035, the 20-year anniversary K League United pod.
We'll have him fighting for manager.
We'll talk about Osmar as being the manager of a team.
He'll be the first manager and centre back.
Yeah, in the team and the manager.
Yeah, player manager. So yeah, Osmar is it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I've just put for him, like, he's a man so committed to the cause that when he saw Suwon Blue Wings go down, he decided to relegate himself to make sure they stayed down. So, and yeah, he's doing wonders with Seoul Eland. I don't think we can really overlook Osmar here. Andrew, anything to add, or do you want to go straight into your second choice for centre back?
Well, it's just something that Paul said. I agree entirely what he said about the start of last season when Seoul were really struggling when Kim Yi-dong came in, and It was a surprise when they gave the captaincy to Jesse Lingard so early in his K-League career. It felt like the beginning of last season, they really needed Osmar still around. And I think he probably went out at around about the right time. Maybe if Kim Gi-dong had come in a year earlier, it might have felt like a more natural time to move him on. But I definitely think they could have done with him last season, especially at the beginning of the season. And I guess like just losing a presence like him must be really, really difficult for all those players to play with him for 300 odd appearances for FC Seoul in K-League One. Absolutely extraordinary. It's a pity. I mean, I know he probably doesn't care, but he has his K-League One medal and his Korean Cup medal, but a career that probably deserved more honors, but still an absolutely tremendous career at the end of the day.
Yeah, indeed. I think there's no qualms in having him in here, but maybe we'll argue over the second choice. Andrew, who's your second choice centre back?
I forgot the thing is, I forgot the team that you guys have put up 5 years ago. And when I was looking at these names, there are other names that you could put in there. Kwan Wang-wan was one guy I was definitely looking at, but I just went for Kim Min-jae, completely forgetting that you had him in your team. And I know he's only spent 3 or 4 years or so in K-League One, and that was at I guess around about the time you guys started the podcast. But obviously, if he was still here now, he'd be the greatest defender of all time if he'd stayed in Korea. He was never going to, because he was too good for this league. So, but I think he's gotten 1, 2, or 3 K-League One championships with Jeonbuk 2 years in a row. He's in the best 11. Yeah, I'm not sure anybody has been better than him, even though he's been gone for a long time. So I went with Kim Min-jae, forgetting that he was in your team 5 years ago. Had I remembered that, I might have just tried to scrape in somebody else, but he wasn't. Like, he just seemed like the obvious candidate at the time.
Yeah, I think I saw him on his professional debut. He played at the age of 17 in 2017 against Jeonnam on opening day. He was put straight into the opening day team. He played the full 90 minutes. In fact, he played every minute of that season when he wasn't suspended or injured. That in his first season for Jeonbuk. He was just a fully formed entity as soon as he arrived in K-League, and he was only here for 2 seasons, but the impression he left was fantastic. And I have deliberately tried not to include him on the hope that somebody else was going to say him. So thank you, Andrew. You've saved me there, because the thing is, because he's only been here for 2 years, it feels like so long ago. But then when you look at what he's done, he went to Beijing Guoan, he did stuff there, won stuff there. He went to Fenerbahce, he went to Napoli, where he didn't only just win the Serie A, he won the Serie A Best Defender of the Year. He's gone to Bayern Munich. It just goes from strength to strength. Honestly, incredible talent. And I don't know why I'm talking him up, because clearly the best. He's not
partner
really.
For Osmar. Who's the best partner for Osmar then?
I've kind of gone for this. I'm just regretting it. I've gone for Kim Yong-gwan rather, from Ulsan. But he's only been in the league for the last few years, and I don't think he's as good as defender now as Kim Min-jae. Now I've spoken up, but I feel like, because we kind of touch on South Korea a lot, and Kim Yong-gwan's obviously had a few memorable moments for the Taeguk Warriors. He's come to South Korea, and Ulsan never won they hadn't won that title in the last 10 years until he came in. He's obviously won it. He's been in that squad for the last 3 years. I think he's been one of the best defenders. But yeah, you've kind of made me feel like I shouldn't have even bothered even considering. Paul, who are you picking for centre back?
Well, I had 2 written for the partner alongside Osmar, and one of them was Kim Yong-gwan. The other one is Hong Jong-ho.
Oh,
because Hong Jong and I, as we were getting ready to go on air, I deleted Kim Yong-gwan and I stuck with Hong Jong-ho, because I know Kim Yong-gwan won the MVP award a couple of years ago, but Hong Jong-ho was the first to win it as a defender in 24 years. So I think, and that was obviously the last time Jeonbuk won the league in 2021. So I just think, for absolute flawless Mercedes-like sort of efficient but a classy defender, Hong Jong-ho is, I know he's 35 now, but he's still got a part to play. I tried to pick somebody who was perhaps, they did more towards the beginning of our 10 years rather than the last few years. Although some of the choices I've made are a little bit like that. But I just think, it was hard to pick this, but I thought Hong Jong-ho would be the one because he got there first and got that MVP award as a centre back or a defender before Kim Yong-kwon did.
Yeah, I felt like I probably couldn't choose him because I'm choosing too many Jeonbuk players, if I'm going to be completely honest. But Hong Jong-ho, he was the captain that's obviously had to see the transition after Chae Kang-hee, and he also had to deal with a lot of injuries and come back from them. I mean, you know, I think what we've got here are three incredible choices. Kim Yong-kwon, Kim Min-jae, Hong Jong-ho, and we're going to have to put it down to a vote. So three choices. Write them down, who your alternative option would be. And,
what happened to the three-way split again?
Then
goal scored.
We can discuss. I've got two methods if we have a tie break, but what we can do.
Let me have a snap election.
Yeah, we'll come back in 60 days. Anyway, right then, I want you to show your workings in 3, 2, 1.
I haven't
Kim Min-jae
because I've put Kim Yong-kwon.
Andrew,
that's your one.
Oh, no, I said
sorry, that's right. Yeah, I was going to do Kim Yong-kwon as well.
Okay. Kim Yong-kwon is in the squad. Whether you agree or disagree, please let us know, because we are definitely wrong about a lot of things, and I'm sure we're going to be wrong on this. So, for listeners back home, a quick recap of where we are at the 25-minute mark. Cho Hyun-woo is in net in our best 11. At left back, it's Kim Jin-soo. Across the centre of defence, it's Osmar partnered up with Ulsan's Kim Yong-kwon. And at right back, we have chosen the one, the only Lee Young. So that's the defence. That's a fairly sturdy defence, I feel. Might get beaten for pace at this point in time, but I feel that they've represented them. If they were playing 10 years ago together, the best defence going. But we're going to move into central midfield. We're going to move out to the wing rather, and to take us over the first choice, left wing. Well, let's start with the right wing. No, left wing. Go on then. I'll go first. I was just trying not to put my name forward because it's the one position I couldn't really nail down. And to be honest, listening back to the podcast from 5 years ago, it was the one position that we had to put to public vote because it was the only one we were disagreed with, and we also disagreed on the tiebreak. 3 years ago, we went for Leonardo, Mislav Orsic, and Yong Ki-hun, with, surprise, surprise, a Suwon player winning the internet vote. But we're back again. We've got a chance to right those wrongs, and I've been put first, and I am going to cheat a little bit here by taking a player who is now known as a left back, but was a left winger, and I'm going to put Wanderson. I don't care. Wanderson is an incredible talent for Pohang Steelers, and as you can see by the fact that we're trying to squeeze him in, he can play anywhere, or he can play anywhere for the sake of this podcast anyway. But Wanderson, I mean, he's been out of Pohang and back into Pohang so many times. He keeps leaving, and they keep wanting more from him. He's became Pohang's first foreign captain this season as well. Unfortunately, that has been taken up from him due to his injury, but he is very much loved down at the Steel Yard, and rightly so. But perhaps you can convince me otherwise. So I'm saying Wanderson for Pohang at left wing. Sort of, he's advancing left back. We've got two left backs that can go forward. Paul,
I've got Wanderson as well. I did have him at left back, but I've moved him further forward. But yeah, Wanderson, I mean, you can play anywhere, and he did for Daejeon. It was funny because when I did an interview with him a couple of years ago, I asked him about that sort of start that he had in the K-League with Daejeon, and they would start with a back three with Wanderson on the left-hand side of a three as a centre-back, a left-sided centre-back. And then when it was going wrong, which was usually every game, he would go up front and then he'd score. So it's like, it was just, why don't you just start him as a striker or a forward? Not there's, anything to do with him and his defensive capabilities. It was just the fact that they were an awful side. Perhaps not in the right shape, but yeah, he was just incredible player. And for some reason we had him on a 1-year loan and it spanned across 2 seasons. So we signed him in the summer of 2015 and he stayed until 2016. And if we'd have signed him, if we'd have made that move a permanent deal or made it, made it to the end of the season, we would have gone up in 2016, definitely. But anyway, we didn't. But I also can't just stop. Sorry, the Wanderson, that 5-4 win. That 5-4 game, was it a 5-4 win or 5-4 loss? That 5-4 game against Gangwon. Wanderson always sticks out in my mind for that. Did he score a hat-trick in that one? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I do remember the game, kind of, but it was just a malaise of goals. Well, Andrew, while Paul checks his stats, was it Wanderson for you, or did you have somebody else? Because, I mean, Paul and I have cheated a little bit to fit him in, sort of. But, yeah.
I said it to you guys. I didn't go for Wanderson because... I wanted to, like, as you were saying, I wanted to put him in somewhere. You could put him anywhere. As you were saying, like even up front, if you really wanted to squeeze him in there somewhere, like he's played almost everywhere apart from goalkeeper. I didn't go for him, and a little bit disappointed in my choice, but I went for my choice because when I first started watching K-League, he was my favorite player when I was watching it. But again, he was in your team from 5 years ago, but like since you guys picked your team in 2020, he hasn't really played the huge amount of football. He retired a couple of years ago. I'm always talking about Young Gi-hun here. He's retired since then, but I just like he is the man with the most number of assists in K-League football. I don't think anybody's ever going to break his record, or it could be a long time. I guess they were saying the same thing about Wayne Gretzky up until a couple of days ago. So like even Cecina has got, I don't know, something like 58 assists, which is about half of what Young Gi-hun has. I just think over the last 10 years, he's probably been the best left-footed advanced player in K-League 1. But it doesn't make me feel great about it because again, he was in your team 5 years ago. And obviously he was in your team 5 years ago because of what he did in the 5 years leading up to that, as opposed to the 5 years since then. But even still, I still think he's the best left-sided midfielder that we've seen in this league in the last 10 years. I
don't think there's any denying that he's incredible. The things he's achieved for Suwon, I know, like obviously I can't even say he's tarnished his reputation by becoming a manager because I think everybody knew he was just kind of forced into it. Yeah, but he's allegiances aside, many teams would want Young Gi-hun in it. Many fans would want Young Gi-hun in their side. He's just done it time and time again for Suwon. And yeah, one of the quote unquote legends, I guess, of the league, Young Gi-hun. I guess if this was more of the best players that have retired and best players over beyond the span of 10 years as well, I think he would probably edge this. But it's not. It's Wanderson, and there we go. Tough luck, Andrew. But Andrew, you can have your say here and bring somebody else in at right wing. Who's coming in at right wing for you in this team?
I'm not bringing anybody else in. It's another problem. Again, looking at your team from 5 years ago, but Ricardo Lopez has been the best right-sided midfielder. Again, I know he's played up front. He played up front a lot for Suwon FC when he returned to Korea towards the end of his career. He's obviously played a lot in left wing. He's played a lot in attacking midfielder role as well. But his best seasons in Korea for Jeju and for Jeonbuk were when he was on the right-hand side of midfield. 31 goals, 22 assists in those 3 seasons. I think it's 2015, 16, and 18. 2015, 16, 18, I think were his 3 best seasons. And like even last season, I know we were kind of joking a little bit off air before we came on, but it's possible that Suwon, I know, and I'm picking him as a right winger as opposed to a forward, but even towards the end of his career, it's possible Suwon would have gone down in 2023 had he not come off the bench because they were 3-1 down against Busan. He came on with about 18 minutes ago. He scored one and assisted another. And that was like the last great moment he's had in football because after he just moved to Busan and he didn't do a huge amount there. So like his last major contribution to Korean football was a pretty significant one as well. So again, I'd like to have gone for somebody else. And there are other options. Like I wasn't sure about left wing, but there were other options for on the right hand side of midfield. But I still think that Lopez is the best player that's played in the last 10 years in this country.
Yeah, Paul.
Mine's interesting because I'm not really sure. I've not really been too tied up with wingers on like the left side or the right side. It's just wingers in general. and this takes a lot because I hate this guy's celebration, but it's Moon Son Min.
Oh, I knew you were
I've
going
gone
to.
for.
Something told me you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. Here we go.
Because I just think he came here in 2018, I think, with Incheon, and he's only missed 3 years of being in the since we've been doing this. He's only missed 3 years, and he's been an irritating but very good player all that time. Scores important goals. I wish he stopped that celebration, but yeah, Min Son Min is who I've gone for, and I almost took him out. But I just think because he's still doing it, he's still playing. He scored some important goals last year for John Book, obviously in that playoff final second leg. Scored the winner against Daegu for Seoul recently. Min Son Min.
I didn't choose him, but he was the player I had in left wing until right at the end there. He was the holding player I had at left wing. Just so you know, I kind of agree with you because it's just in terms of a player of the last 10 years,
right.
That is for better and for worse. But I'm not going to go for him. And
Come on.
I'm not going to vote for him. I'm sorry, but I am, and I am going to vote for one player that I think has also just done wonders. And I keep feeling like we're going for John Book players, but there is a reason. That's usually because they end up buying the best players. And it's not Lopez as much as I loved his contributions to John Book. They're very fond in my heart. But I've gone for another player.
Is it John Janu?
Hankyo-won. Hankyo-won.
Hankyo-won was on my list as well. Actually, he was on my first draft, I think. But the only thing, because the last few years it's not been that great for him. That's why I took him out.
No, but I think it's very much it's kind of similar logic to Chaechul's son for me. While I've put him in there, it's because he's just there. He's just been there, and he's never been in the national. He's got either 9 appearances, I think, for the national team in his career, but he's always been there in K League, and he built like a reputation as a super sub for John Book. But he just keeps he just kept delivering, and I think it was 2020 actually when he had his year. Obviously, he must have pinned our 5-year team on his dressing room wall or something, so he can look at it every day and think, I'll get in this one 5 years down the line. But I just think in terms of representing K-League, I've gone for him. But saying these 3 choices back and excluding names that could have had the likes of Jazir Asani if we really wanted.
That's the one I thought you might have gone for. I was thinking of Asani as well because his contribution more so in the other more so in AFC, but like a guy who's played in the European Championships for Albania is obviously of the absolute highest standard.
I think the only reason why I didn't go with him, and again, I think it's just because he kind of goes against my logic, and that's the thing. There's going to be no logic in this, so please don't write in about inconsistencies. But it's only because he's only been playing since 2023 in the K-League, and half of last. I think if Lee Jung-hyo had played him more last season, it probably would have convinced me. I mean, it's Champions League. If he wins the Champions League, we're looking at him in this squad in 5 years' time. But I think it has to be, for me, Hankyo-won, just because of his constant impact from the bench for John Book in his time. It's just, he feels like a very K-League-y kind of player. But nobody has to agree with me, and you can both disagree with me right now, because it is going to.
I like the idea of picking somebody entirely different for sure, but these nominations are difficult to.
Yeah, well, just for anyone listening, Ricardo Lopez, Moon Son Min, or Hankyo-won. I mean, it doesn't sound like much of a choice, to be honest, when we say it like that, but I am going to make you choose. So in 3 seconds, I want you to say aloud your choice. Do not vote for yourself. 3, 2, 1. Ricardo Lopez.
Hankyo-won.
I refuse to pick. I think there's only one. Okay, then I'll go for Moon Son Min because I want to see what your second tiebreaker option is. I've been waiting for this. This is probably the last chance. This could be the last chance.
This could be the last chance for the second tiebreaker. So, what we're going to say is, I will say that if anybody can send in their thoughts, they can vote. But if not, I am going to go with the 2020 pick. So it will be Ricardo Lopez by default if we don't get any decision on the right wing choice. So at the moment, Ricardo Lopez is holding on to his spot. I think that's the only fair way to do it because we've picked him before, but we'll see what happens. So Ricardo Lopez, and maybe you can have your say if you're watching live. You can tell us after the fact that we got it completely wrong. But yeah, Ricardo Lopez, Min Son Min or Han Kyo-won, who would you have at right back as your most K-League player of the last 10 years, or the best player of the last 10 years, or however you want to define this 11, because we can't really define it ourselves. Moving forward, though, not moving forward, we've got the centre of the pitch to decide yet, lads. Centre of the pitch. Perhaps we can have a bit more agreement here, and maybe fewer controversial picks. And, I'm going to go first on this one. Oh, no, not Paul is. Sorry, Paul. Paul, you choose. Who do you want in central midfield?
I think this first one's going to be a one that we'll all agree on. Cezinha.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, if you're talking about Mr. K-League, a player that everybody likes as a person, his personality, and obviously the things that he does on the pitch or has done for 10 years, basically. Obviously, he signed for Daegu in 2016 and has become this K-League icon. He's become a bona fide legend. Still doing it as well. Even last year, even when Daegu, things weren't going so well for them, he scored a lot of very important goals. He basically played with a broken rib in the playoffs and scored, I think, 3 goals across those 2 games. I think one might have gone down as an own goal, depending on where you look at the stats and who got But it was his shot that took a deflection and went in. So he's massive, and he's just a colossus, and someone that I hope that we can continue to see for the next few years, even longer. And a nice guy as well. Obviously, I interviewed him and met him. I met him a few times, obviously, but I met him again at Media Day, and he's just such a nice guy. Just because it can be very easy for someone who's, they call him the King of Daegu, right? Like he has that nickname. Someone who's basically, if they had this here, you'd have give him the freedom of the city of Daegu. It'd be very easy to get arrogant about it, but he's not. He's just a very, very, very nice guy. So Cezinha, gotta be Cezinha.
Yeah, I think. I'm going to just say I've got Cezinha. Yeah, the K-League's David Silva, to bring that quote back, but he's just incredible. Like I think. It would have been great to have seen what he could have done elsewhere, but also it's kind of great in a way to see his loyalty. He could have had his selection of any K-League club, and he is, as you said, Mr. Daegu, Mr. K-League. Andrew, is he unanimous on Cezinha? Is he definitely in?
He's definitely in. Last year was his best contribution for goals and assists since the first COVID season. And he was 35 years old, so it's just like I said, the Daegu were awful last season, but he was the guy who kept them up. So he's another returnee, obviously, in 2020, but he seemed, apart from perhaps Joe Yanu, he seems to be the most obvious returnee from the 2020 team, I would have thought. Because there was some disagreement about left back, wasn't there? I think there was, yeah. So he's probably himself, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, well, Cezinha's in the squad, so we've got one last position in midfield. I'll send it back round to you, Paul. Who is your second choice for central midfield? Oh, you're slightly on mute, Paul, so I'll let you go again.
Now, my choices might look like they're your choices, Matthew, because there's a lot of green in these choices. But again, I took a slightly different tact in terms of the way that I looked at this. It was more about longevity, and rather than having like someone who was shining bright over 2 or 3 years, it was more about the whole thing, I picked Son Jun-ho because you're going to need someone to play alongside Cezinha who can sit and anchor a little bit. And there's not been any or many better that have done that in the K-League over the last 10 years, albeit with a few breaks in between. Who's done that than Son Jun-ho. And when he was available, he would have been first choice for the national team. He would have gone to the last major tournament had he been available. So, yeah, he's my choice to sit alongside Cezinha in midfield.
Fair enough. Andrew, is it Son Jun-ho for you, or do you have somebody else?
It's not Son Jun-ho. I had Son Jun-ho down as one of my honorable mentions alongside Kimbo Gyung. I wasn't really that bothered about doing because this team will never play together. So I wasn't worried about who's going to be a little bit more defensive there. If we have Cezinha with the freedom of Daegu Forest to play in front of him, I thought there were endless number of possibilities. I think this is the hardest position to pick. But I've gone for the complete opposite of what Paul's done. I have not gone for longevity. I've gone for a player who I really liked watching, one of the most talented midfielders, even a very short period of time that I saw playing in Korea. And so yeah, it's more. And I wanted to get somebody who either wasn't involved in the team the last time, and definitely wouldn't have been even in contention for it because he wasn't over. I swung for Valery Kasashvili, otherwise known as Vako, the Georgian midfielder who played for Ulsan for a couple of seasons. Because a little bit like Jo Yanu and Kim Young-wan, there's a couple of these players who they help turn the tide from Jeonbuk towards Ulsan, and he was one of the biggest players to have done that. And his season in 2022 was good, but I just remember that 2023 season. I think that was his last season in Korea, where he was absolutely brilliant. You were talking about Rolls Royce players before. I thought he was a Rolls Royce type of player. He ended up with 2 championships in his time in Korea, and I think in 2023. He ended with 11 goals and 32 appearances, which is, I know he could kind of play anywhere in midfield and could kind of fill in up front as well, but primarily playing in midfield. So for me, he's just one of the most exciting players that I saw playing in this league. Short time he spent here. Got his move to China, like always happens after a couple of seasons. But I just think guys like him, guys like Vako, helped turn the tide a little bit away from Jeonbuk because it was getting a little bit tedious there for a while.
That's a very good choice. No, that's a very good choice, and I'm going to be honest, it's a choice I completely forgot about. I actually, now this is where it sounds like I've been lazy, but it really isn't. I've chose who we chose 5 years ago, and the case for him is probably not as strong as it was 5 years ago because, well, 5 years have passed and his contribution looks a lot less in those 10 years. But EJ Song for Jeonbuk, because he's still, of all the players I've watched in the K-League, that's the one, I think that's one player I particularly hold on to dearly. I think that's one I was one of the first, I think it was one of the first players I actually noticed and said, oh, that player isn't bad. I remember just seeing the number 17, didn't know his name, but Jeonbuk's number 17, he was all right. And he started in 2014. I came to Korea in 2015, so I saw him in that season playing for the first time. And he just got better and better and better. And he won the Young Player of the Year. He went on to win the K-League MVP. He led Jeonbuk to 3 titles. No, more than that, sorry. He was in Jeonbuk's team for 2014, 2015. Didn't get it in 2016, but 2017, 2018, he left during the 2018 season, but he still got a medal for that. So that's 4 K-League titles. Got the Champions League trophy in there, but I think he was just an incredible talent, and he was just one of those talents that I think everybody was kind of willing to go to Europe. Now, these days, it feels like, in a good way as well, it feels like K-League have kind of managed to sort out that pipeline to Europe. I feel like we're getting a lot more K-League players going every window. There's a K-League player going to Europe, and it's fantastic that we're getting these young players. But EJ Sung was there at a time where it was still really difficult to get a player to go to Europe from K-League, it felt like. And I felt like he got that move, and yeah, it was just, I think everybody wanted him to go, even the Jeonbuk fans, but not in a get out of this league kind of way, but more of a, we want to see what you can do. He hasn't perhaps reached the heights we wanted him to, but he's a very, very consistent player in the Bundesliga. And I mean, there is the hope as well that he will come back to K-League someday, I think, after he finishes his time in Europe. So I've put him there, but it is a very, very, like you said, Andrew, it's a very kind of a player that you've seen, you feel like you can't, it's the same with me, with EJ Sung. I can't, more so than Kim Min Jae, I feel like EJ Sung is just a player that's encapsulated it for me personally in the last 10 years. But probably not encapsulated it for everyone, so that's why it's going to have to go to a vote. So, just to remind everybody of the 3 choices we are now voting on: EJ Sung, Vako, and Son Jun Ho. Sorry, Paul, it felt like so long. I've rambled on for so long there, I'd forgotten who you'd picked. So, we're going to go around. Andrew, I'll let you pick first this time because of the way the right wing decision went. So, Andrew, here you go. You're on mute.
I'll go with
no,
Son Jun Ho just because. Sorry, just because I had Kim Bo Kyung and Son Jun Ho as my 2 honorable mentions, so I will go with Son Jun Ho then.
Paul,
I'll go for Vako.
I'm going to... you've left me a different... Son Jun Ho or Vako is an incredible decision to make. And I agree with everything you say, Paul, but I'm actually going to go with Vako.
All right.
I get one.
Two wigs in the middle.
I mean, it's going to be a bit of a... It's not going to make any sense. We're not going to try and put these on FIFA, are we? Are we going to put these on FIFA? But I think Son Jun Ho was a very good choice as well, though. I think all of these are good choices that we're making. But probably the final result doesn't actually work as an actual team. But moving forward, perhaps we can save ourselves with the strikers. For striker, I haven't gone first for one of these, so I'm going to put one forward. And the one I'm going to put forward seems very obvious now. But the reason why I want to put his name forward is because I said his name 5 years ago and I got voted down. And I want to put his name forward again, and I feel like he could get in, and that's Joo Min-kyu. I felt at the time, 5 years ago, we obviously he hadn't become the menace that he's known everywhere now, but he was pretty good 5 years ago as well. Like, he started his career, worked his way up from K-League 2, having done wonders at Seoul Eland. He just kept getting better. He did well at Sangju Sangmu as well, went on military duty. He finally got that move to Ulsan eventually, and then the goals just rained down. And then Ulsan decided at the beginning of this season, we don't want a player who scores goals anymore. We'll give him to Daejeon. And, well, Daejeon have certainly benefited because, well, we're only 7 rounds into the season, gentlemen. And how many goals has he got? Is it 7 for 7? Paul, you're the one who's counting, I'm sure.
He's got 6 goals and 1 assist in 8 appearances, yeah.
It's incredible how he keeps delivering. And I think the fact that he kind of came onto the scene at the same time as we, as a website, came into existence, it kind of just makes sense that he is in there from my perspective. But we may all disagree. I don't know if either of you have got Joo Min-kyu, but that's my choice.
I have got Joo Min-kyu, and you're preaching to the choir here. Obviously, I love the man. Let me just get that out there right now. I love him. I love Joo Min-kyu. Obviously, seeing his journey and finally being able to get that first cap or the first invitation to the national team early last year. It was just, obviously, we're all really happy for him, and then he then scored his first goals for the national team. Even going back before that, we were all happy that he managed to get a K-League title, when he joined Ulsan. So I just think that is a very shrewd shout from you, Matthew, from 5 years ago. I've forgotten about any of that podcast that we did, frankly, but that's a very shrewd shout. And what a guy! He's just so good. He's just so good. And also, because obviously he plays for Daejeon now, and I watch the videos that they make and they put on YouTube where it's like a camera sort of a fly on the wall type thing. So you hear the things that he says in the dressing room and stuff, and he's just like, he's so good for that. And why did Ulsan? I know he wanted to go. Right? I think he felt it was time that he could go and do something somewhere else because he had offers from obviously Dejan, I think Seoul as well. But he should have been fighting to keep hold of him and just thinking, no, look, we need you. This is a period of transition. This generational shift that we've talked about before, but we still need you to be that link between because Yul can't come in and then do it all of a sudden. You need to have you to have, kind of be there to help him and be like his mentor. So yeah, in short, sorry, I rambled a bit there. Ji Min-gyu, 100%. He's someone who I have down on my list as well.
Andrew, is it unanimous on Ji Min-gyu, or do you have a different player in your two strikers up front?
I think not including Ji Min-gyu would write off your opinion as utter trash at this point. Like, he only needs 2 more goals, and he's got 100 goals in top flight of Korean football from the journey that he's had. He could end up getting, the 2 goals they need for 100 K-League 1 goals by the end of this month. A great journey. Seems like a lovely guy. Like everybody else, I was really happy when he got his debut. I was really hoping he'd score in that debut because it seemed like it'd be one of those questions you'd ask the Guardian knowledge. How many players have made their debut and scored like at the age of 33 or whatever it was when he made his debut? So a great journey. And like that partnership that he formed with Gerso Fernandez kind of throughout COVID, Jeju. Jeju were really fun to watch at that time. I saw them 2 or 3 times in Jeju that season. They won all of the games I saw them play. That was a fun time to be a Jeju United fan. Obviously, it hasn't been anywhere near as fun since then. So yeah, Ji Min-gyu is just the outstanding candidate, certainly for the last 5 years.
Yeah, he's just incredible, and I'm glad he just keeps he's aging like a fine wine. But there is one more striker position to choose, and the honourable mentions list here is going to be long, but I think, I've chosen first for the first striker. So, Paul, would you like to give me your choice for second striker?
Yes, Stefan Magosha is mine, just because he arrived in 2018 and he's been prolific ever since. Obviously, had that year in Japan where didn't play, but then he came back, and even in that half season after he came back, he scored goals. And similar to the Cezinha thing, I think it makes it better somehow that he's been at one K-League club throughout this whole time, and he's basically had the club's all-time leading goal scorer and a definite legend. And he's stuck with them after they got relegated. He could have decided that okay, I'm 32 or 3 now. I could go and try and get one last payday, or go somewhere and try and win something in my last couple of years as a player at this kind of level. But he's stuck with them, and yeah, you just know his goals. He's just guaranteed goals.
Yeah, Andrew, is it Stefan Magosha for you, or do you have somebody else?
No, it's Stefan Magosha as well. I think longevity is, again, keep hopping around this talking point of longevity versus one season wonder like Hwang Min-gi or even Vako here for 3 seasons. I was really close to picking Adam Tiger just because he seems like the most natural goal scorer that we've seen for a while. The 16 goals he scored in 26 odd games, like just that kind of like a number 9 that was really prominent when I guess we were growing up, that age group. But I was really close to picking him, but he just wasn't here long enough. Again, that also contradicts everything else I've said about some of the other players. But it would feel unjust not to have Magosha in there, given his contributions. And now he can be the top. He can go on to be the top goal scorer in K-League 2 history when Incheon don't get promoted and stay there for a few more years to go with all the goals he scored in K-League 1.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Magosha was. I had about 4, 5, 6. This has been a rotating position. I mean, the honourable mentions here, Dayan. I was actually probably going to pick Dayan in the end, all things considered, and I probably will here just so he gets the nomination. But it was a tough fight because Dayan, Lee Dong-guk obviously kept it going for so long as well. Magosha, as you said, I think what you said, Paul, about that staying at the club. Even when they go down, he's like a universally liked figure. It goes beyond, well, perhaps maybe not by Sol fans, but he is universally liked. I think even Sol fans can appreciate him as a player, as an entity. I think, and then there's also just like and Junior, who we put in 5 years ago. I still enjoyed watching Junior all the time when he was playing for Ulsan, even when he had his bit at Daegu as well. We could even go one season wonders and gone Marcao, who just that 1 year in K-League 1 has absolutely destroyed things. I am going to go Dayan, just because I think there is that kind of personal attachment. There's the fact this is 10 years of K-League United, and I don't think our website would be where it is today, where it got to without Dayan. But Stefan Magosa is an incredible pick for the last 10 years, and I don't think we can ignore that. So Stefan Magosa is our second striker up top with Ju Min-kyu. I would be a terrified defender if I saw either of those two lining up against me, let alone both of them. There is still one position left to pick, though. We need somebody to tell them how to play. We need to pick a manager. So for our team of 11, and let's just go through the 11 just in case anybody's listening still. Cho Yun-woo in goal, left back Kim Jin-soo, right back Lee Young, in the centre of defence. I've forgotten who we had.
Osmar and Kim Yong-gwon.
Of course we've got Osmar, and of course we've got Kim Yong-gwon. Left wing we've got Wanderson. Right wing, well, we're going to get to that in a minute. Central midfield, we've got some midfielders who are very adept out wide as well, with Cezinha and Vako. And out on the right we have a choice of Min Son-min, Ricardo Lopez and Han Kyo-won. At the moment, Ricardo Lopez holding it by default based on the vote from 5 years ago. But you can let us know if you think differently. And then up front, as we just mentioned, it's Ju Min-kyu and Stefan Magosa in our best 11 of the last 10 years for K-League United. Manager time. Who has been the best manager, or most memorable manager, a manager that kind of encapsulates this last 10 years for you? Andrew, I'll let you go first on this one.
I'm more interested to know what happens whenever we do this particular podcast again. Is it going to be Lee Jong-hyo? Is it going to be Kim Gi-dong? It feels like there could be a couple of choices down the line, but for now, I couldn't change from your pick 5 years ago. Choi Gang-hee just seems like the most obvious choice. And since, I know he hasn't added a K-League title since he did it the last time, but in those 10 years, 3 K-League 1 titles and 1 AFC Champions League. Plus loads of other honors in terms of managers of the month and manager of the season, all this type of stuff. So Hong Yun-bo is obviously somebody who's worth, even though his face is blacked out from that weird banner they have in Munsu that has all the managers who have won the title with them. I said maybe 5 years time there's more of a debate, but it feels like now, as much as I'd love to move that one on, I think we did pretty well with the team. Once we kind of left the defense, we moved in a couple of players who weren't there before, but I think the manager situation for now speaks for itself.
Yeah, Paul, is it still Choi Kang-hee in charge, or do you have another player, another manager? It might be a player. It might have been a player.
Might have been a player. No, I'm going to go for Hong Yong-bo because okay, so I'm looking at the Manager of the Year awards for the last 10 years. I know Choi Kang-hee has the most with 3, but all those 3 came in a 4-year spell in the first 4 years of K-League United. There's been 6 seasons since then, and the person who's got more than one Manager of the Year awards is Hong Yong-bo. So that's my logic. I'm going that for. It's more recent and helped turn the tide from the green dominance over the years before that.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very important... I think, first of all, I'm not going to hold on any suspense. I am going to go for Choi Kang-hee just because I don't think anybody is... I think it's a testament to how good of a manager he is that we haven't actually seen a manager lay out that kind of legacy again. But I do think you've got a very good point with Hong Yong-bo there, Paul, because he was the manager who turned the tide, the dominance. Yeah. He broke that dominance, which... you could also argue that Kim Do-hoon set the foundations for that, but obviously he was not the one who got him over the line in the end. Did win the Champions League though with Ulsan, it should be said. And there's been other. I think you make a good point there, Andrew. I think what would be interesting is seeing who the best manager is in 5 years' time. Perhaps we can also give our predictions on that, because I think what you said there about Lee Jong-ho, he would be a manager if he stays in the K-League, even if he's not the best manager in 5 years' time. He might have a shout at this just because he's so entertaining to watch. But so we're saying it's Che Kang-hee, but just to give our listeners a preview of who we think it might be in 5 years' time, if we're still going, who would you have as manager of the year potentially? Who can you see being manager of the year
in 5 years' time?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, go on.
In 5 years' time, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. That's a good one, isn't it? I don't know. 5 years from now, I want to say Hwang Sun-hong, but I'd rather hope that he gets it a bit sooner than 5 years. And there's some trophies won before that. Maybe Kim Ki-dong, maybe? I don't know, but he's won it recently. I don't know. It's hard because it's just like, I think with K-League managers, they shine brightly for a short period of time and then it goes very, very wrong.
Yeah.
But
I think we had that conversation about Jo Sung-hwan recently, that he did not a manager who could rebuild, and I think that might be a point about a lot of K-League managers. There's not many who go through that rebuild shining afterwards.
Yeah.
But Kim Ki-dong would be a good choice as well, I think. But
It
Andrew,
would be, yeah. I think it has to be Kim Ki-dong. I think he's the one that you would look at this. We just don't know where Lee Jong-yo is still. I think he's 50, isn't he? He's 49 or 50. I don't see Kim Ki-dong leaving Korea. Maybe he gets a job in China. I know some Korean managers go over there, maybe gets a job in Japan. But I was getting the feeling if Lee Jong-yo was able to spread his wings a little bit more, maybe learn the language or something. I don't know if he can. He seems like the type of guy who might be tempted, or other clubs might be tempted to bring him somewhere. What he's done with the limited resources that he's had. But Kim Ki-dong seems like the type of manager who will always have a top job in Korea, whereas I'm not sure Lee Jong-il will in a few years' time. And like we're saying about Ulsan breaking that Jeonbuk monopoly on the title, it seems like the most likely team that would do that in the future would be Seoul. And Kim Ki-dong will probably be their manager if that is to be the case. So I definitely go for him. I think there's good things happening in Seoul, even though they're really boring to watch for most of the season. They are picking up points. So yeah, I'll go for Kim Ki-dong.
fair enough. So Kim Ki-dong
An outsider, Yoon Jong-wan.
He might be. Because I mean, what the things he achieved last year and the things that Incheon are doing as well this season. It's all to play for. Who knows what the future holds in 5 years? But for now, it is Che Kang-hee who is managing our best 11. And, that kind of wraps things up for this week. But I think one more question just to pose to you, just because we've got Andrew here. If I was to say very quickly off the top of the head, if you were going to pick a stadium for the last 10 years that's kind of encapsulated K-League, which stadium would you have this team play in?
Well, I'll answer it this way. If somebody was coming over to Korea that had never been here before, and I said to them, if there's one stadium you have to go and visit in Korea, I would say the Pohang Steelyard. I like the walk over there to the industrial wasteland that is POSCO, and sometimes you have to wait for the freight train to go by. And like I know Incheon and Daegu are basically just newer versions of what Pohang is. But Pohang's like the original all-purpose, football-specific stadium in Korea. The oldest one, the most original one. It still has a great atmosphere when Pohang are playing well and Daegu or Jeonbuk or Ulsan are in town. So there are more beautiful stadiums, especially Incheon's, but the best stadium in Korea is still, and I think it's always going to be, Pohang Steelyard.
Paul, you went to the Steelyard recently. Would that be where you want this team to play?
I don't know. I think I prefer. I do love the Steelyard, but I think if I was to make it easier for other people to get there and back, I'd say Incheon. The problem with Pohang was, as Andrew, as you warned, getting from the stadium back to the train station was an issue. And I was very lucky that I got a lift of somebody who I bumped into, a friend that I bumped into. And I was waiting for another friend to say bye at the outside the away end. And I give myself an hour and a half to get from the stadium to the station. And he's like, "Oh, it's okay, I'll take you over there." It took about an hour and 10 minutes to get there. And it was very close to me missing the train back to Seoul. So I wouldn't want that stress from anybody else. If you are in a rush to get back to the station, let's just say Incheon, because there's a subway station right there, isn't there? So
fair enough. I'm actually going to say Incheon, not because of the logistics, but I just think for the last 10 years, just the number of moments towards the end of the season, usually in that stadium, where they've had to fight back from relegation and just pulled themselves from the brink so many times, and then those ACL nights where they've brought Yokohama over and showed them who's boss. I think as a stadium for the last 10 years, of the games that were there in the last 10 years, I think that would be my choice. But the Steelyard's the Steelyard. It's like a cheat code of K-League in terms of quality grounds. But lots of good choices. Lots of good choices that maybe you think are bad choices if you're listening to this podcast. And please do feel free to let us know. Please leave it in the comments. Please share your thoughts. Please share your best 11s. We're going to be doing a number of other specials this month as we celebrate 10 years of K-League United, looking back over the last 10 years. But for now, if you want to follow us, where can they do so, Paul?
Well, we're all at K-League United on not all, but most social media services. We're on Patreon as well. That's / K-League United, not at K-League United. But if you want to find us, I'm sure you can.
Yeah, just search K-League United. We will usually appear. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this week. Paul will be back with the weekend coming out every Friday, so you can get your weekend ticket. I can't do it, but you have a good intro to it. And
it's an intro. I just reuse.
Is it? Oh, don't say that. I hope you got like multiple takes of it at least, and you can. No, all right. Well,
purely to save time. So the outro and the intro are the same. It's the same one I did 3-4 weeks ago.
Oh no! Giving away the secrets. Well, if you want to hear that intro, you can do on the next episode that comes out this week. Paul going through all the season. All the season. Oh, we're doing it for the whole season, possibly. But going through the weekend previews, and Andrew's laughing because I can't exit this podcast. I don't know the way out, lads. It's been 10 years, and I still don't know how to end this. So from myself, Matthew Binns.
In Korea, keep the show going. Keep the birthday celebration going.
It's party time in K-League United Towers. All right. From myself, Matthew Binns, from Paul Neat, from Andrew Farrell. Thanks so much for listening. Choi Chul-sun. See you soon. Goodbye.